Welcome, everyone. My name is Alanna Kaivalya. I am the author of The Way of the Satisfied Woman, the founder of thesatisfiedwoman.com, and of course, the founder of the movement behind the Rooted Online membership, which is what we are all here today to experience. This is the Rooted Radio live broadcast that brings you right inside the membership, shows you exactly what our members get exclusive access to. These broadcasts happen several times a month, and they cover the most important topics for us as satisfied women or women on the path to satisfaction. So, if you haven't yet, make sure that you join us. There is a link available for you to do that. So, click the link. Make sure you join because founders pricing is happening now. So let's get started. Hang on just a second. Okay, so we are talking about stopping overgiving and starting to thrive. So no need to overgive anymore. We are super, super done with that. Um, and what does overgiving mean? Overgiving is the state of giving yourself away. And this is something that women have been taught for all of the time that we've been living in this culture. And that's been about several thousand years. We don't know exactly when the patriarchy began. It's dated somewhere between 3,000 and 8,000 years ago. But we've been subjected to its ideas and ideals for all that time. And not just us, right? No one thrives under this particular system. The masculine doesn't thrive, the feminine doesn't thrive. But what we learn as women is that our value, our greatest value, lies in giving ourselves away. And it's the giving ourselves away that really keeps us essentially on our back foot and completely burnt out. One of the things that I talk about with women all the time is how burnt out they are. And statistically, 80% of women report being burnt out. Now, burnout isn't a diagnosis that a doctor can give you. It's not something that a doctor will say, great, here's your prescription, here's how to resolve it. It is something that we know because we feel it. We feel it to the depths of our bones. And ladies, I get it. We're tired. Raise your hand if you're tired, if you're exhausted from carrying the weight of the world, not only your world, but the weight of everyone else in your world, the weight of the people around you, the weight of your family, your friends, your partner, your career. It's all on us. And we've been told that that's how it's supposed to be. And we essentially calibrate this as our normal, that this is all that we should expect in life. But I'm telling you, there is a different way. We don't have to settle for that. And in fact, we are settling for abandoning ourselves when we are doing this overgiving, overdoing, overtaking, overreaching for everyone else. We're the ones who get left behind. And that's really what burnout is. If you feel like you've been running on fumes, like you're constantly holding up the world, then you're in the right place. And I am so glad that you've decided to join me today because today's conversation is about a radical shift. You know, what if the first step to healing this burnout wasn't doing more self care? Because I love that too. But what if it was actually saying no? Saying no. Saying no is one of the first steps that I actually teach women on this path to satisfaction, whether I'm working with them in my one-on-one coaching practice or inside of my Rooted membership. I really get them to hold the line of no. Now, if you were on the broadcast yesterday, or if you missed it, you can always catch the replay inside the Rooted membership. We talked about the importance of the feminine being receptive, having this receptive container in order to receive our abundance, to receive support, to receive all of the beautiful things that we desire in this life. The feminine is the receiver. Now, in order to create this container to receive, it needs boundaries. Boundaries are critical. Now, I know there's a lot of talk of boundaries in today's psychology, self-help, self-work world. And boundaries are important, but boundaries are also not a mystery. You don't have to go to therapy for 9 million years in order to understand what your boundaries are, especially as a feminine woman. As a feminine woman, your boundaries are held through your sacred no and your divine, exuberant, feminine yes. So, what I'm going to teach you today in this broadcast is the importance of that no and how to really get to it. Because through all of the noise and cultural conditioning that we've been living under our entire lives, we either have forgotten how to understand and feel our no, we've never even felt it, or we don't know actually how to honor it and really set that as a boundary. So, in yesterday's broadcast, I gave you a simple script in order to ask for what you need based on what you're feeling so that you can start to get the abundance and support that you need. So, if you missed that, make sure you catch the replay inside the Rooted membership. And today, I'm going to guide you through that powerful no because many of us have learned, unfortunately, that our worth is tied to being needed, helpful, available. And we've learned that we do that through giving ourselves away or through overgiving. Okay, but overgiving is actually not the same as generosity. I hear a lot from the women that I work with that, well, but they need me, or, a woman is just here to give, to nourish, that we're the nurturers. Actually, we're not. Here's a mindset shift for you. Nurturing is a masculine quality. Nourishing is a feminine quality. How about them apples? To nurture is to foster growth, advancement, development, right? To move something upward into the world, to create, an upward movement. And that's very masculine. If you think kind of, bodily speaking, their physical form also moves upwards in many ways. That is the nurturing force of the masculine. They're there to provide that kind of growth. The masculine energy is. The feminine energy is there to nourish. And she does that by simply receiving, by being in the space of nourishing. I have, these images, these mythological images. My PhD is in mythology and psychology. And I have these beautiful mythological images of these divine goddesses laying on the chaise lounge, with the plate of grapes next to her and the fans being just gently giving her a breeze so that her hair looks lovely. That is nourishing. And in that space, everyone is nourished, but it doesn't require effort and energy. Think about that. So we want to create this space of receptivity where the self-care isn't an emergency band-aid that gives us just enough to limp along until our next breakdown, breakup, breakthrough, that we actually have the resources, the nourishment that we need to really thrive. Because what happens when the feminine thrives is that everybody does. The feminine can't thrive in a vacuum. This is not a selfish practice. I love that old saying, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. There's actually truth to that. There's science and research behind that because as women, we are the emotional regulators and the emotional calibrators of our spaces. So if we're feeling depleted, depressed, put upon, if we're feeling martyred, if we're feeling burnt out, if we're feeling drained, dysregulated, that isn't just happening to us. Everyone in our space is feeling the pressure and the tension of that. So it's actually incredibly selfless to make sure we're nourishing ourselves, holding that receptive container, honoring our boundaries, feeling into that no, and giving the space for others to rise and support and be in their optimal, either feminine or masculine energy. Really, ultimately, the work that we do as individuals, as women, and that's why I'm here to help. That's why I'm here to serve. That's why I'm potentially even here to save you as an individual. Because I know that when you recalibrate yourself, when you become more regulated in your nervous system, when you take care of your own self-care as a daily living practice, when you are fully nourished, that is going to have an incredible, impactful effect on everyone around you. So overgiving is not a feminine quality. That's not what we're here to do. We do not fail as women when we say no, when we are not there, when we're not giving ourselves away. I have had stunning conversations with incredible women recently in my coaching and my discovery calls where they've said things to me like, Alanna, I want to have an identity other than mom. I want to be known for something other than just what I am to everyone else. I want to be known for something in myself. I had an amazing conversation the other day with a young 25-year-old woman, actually, seems to be at a disadvantage. Everyone keeps taking things away from her. And so I taught her this practice so that no one can take anything away from her again. To be a woman fully in her feminine is to be sovereign, to own that receptive space, to own that receivership so that you draw in the nourishment, the abundance, the support, the love, the connections, everything that you need. That is one of our greatest superpowers. Overgiving happens when you say yes from fear instead of truth. Overgiving happens when your mouth says yes, but your body is screaming no. Has anybody ever felt that? Raise your hand and let me know if you've ever experienced that. It's deeply affecting and it's detrimental to us. It develops resentment. It creates depletion. It dysregulates our nervous system. It produces anxiety. And it makes us feel invisible because indeed what happens is that we deny ourselves, we deny our needs, and every human being on the planet is here to have needs met, including you. When we overgive, our love isn't authentic. It becomes a performance. Think about that, ladies. If any of you have ever performed for love, and you know what I'm talking about, that's not authentic. It's not authentic for you. It's not authentic for them. And in that way, your presence becomes a transaction. We're not here for transaction anymore. We're here to receive. Now, you know that you're here to receive if you're feeling burnt out. Okay, that's the disconnect. The burnout is your body, your mind, your psyche, your nervous system screaming and telling you that there is something more for you, that you are in need. Okay, so you're not a failure. It's just your body's trying to get your attention. We want to get out of this cycle of self abandonment. I know that one of the things that causes women to overgive, to give themselves away, to do everything for everyone else at all times, and for themselves, and for everyone else, and for themselves all the time, just over and over. I know that one of the things that causes that is we fear that they will reject or abandon us, that they will say we don't belong, that we are not worthy of being in this space, that we will be discarded. That's a real fear that does and has happened to women. But what gets lost in that transaction, in that overgiving, in that burnout, is that ultimately we actually abandon ourselves. So amazingly enough, we're abandoned anyway. We're essentially ghosting ourselves. Self abandonment happens every time we override our own truth in order to prioritize someone else's comfort. We fear abandoning others so much that we abandon ourselves and we're the ones left behind. We try ghosting our own needs in order to stay connected to other people, the roles that we play, the identities that thrive on our overfunctioning. But ladies, burnout isn't just exhaustion. It's your soul's grief over all of the no's that you never gave yourself permission to say. It's the exhaustion of being the one person that you have been ignoring this whole time. Okay, so amazingly, your no is how you come back to yourself. It's how you come back to yourself, your no. In a world that just wants us to say yes all the time, I say fuck that. We're here to say no. No is the statement of the feminine. Yes is the statement of the masculine. And remember, these are opposing psychological energies. And so they have to be in opposition. If the feminine is saying yes while the masculine is saying yes, no one is served. We need the tension of opposites. And you need the tension of the no in order to hold that receptive space. So no is not selfish. No is a boundary. It's a boundary around your receivership. No is essentially a prayer. And no becomes the doorway to your true, authentic yes. And that's where we want to get. Once you start defining exactly what is no longer a yes for you, a false yes, once you start defining your true no in life, that's how you rediscover who you are. That's how you reorient yourself to yourself. That's how you create that sovereignty. I had another woman say to me recently, this was stunning. She said, Alanna, I just want my own patch of grass on this world where I can stand on my own 2 feet. I get it. And these are not like these women that I'm talking to, the women that I work with, you watching right now, you are high achieving. You are incredibly competent. You are incredibly smart. You are probably overperforming for life, which is why you feel like you don't exist anymore. No is how you exist. And I know it's scary to issue your no if your whole life has been based on yes. I mean, think of all of the ways that women today and throughout history have been taken advantage of through that false yes, through that inauthentic yes, right? It's it's gutting and it has to stop, right? This is why I've created this movement. This is why I wrote the book. This is why I've founded this membership because women need a safe space to practice this. We need a safe space to be heard, to issue this no, to bounce it off other women, to communicate about it, to say, hey, like, I tried it. Here's what happened. So that we can soften the blow. Women throughout history, like if we look through the long history of how women have communed with one another, this is how we thrive through the conversation, through the checking in. So you don't have to do this in a vacuum. And you don't ever have to be false here. Because a false yes is what we say when we want to be liked more than we want to be whole. It's what we give when we're afraid of being judged, abandoned, or disappointing others. Every false yes is a tiny betrayal, and every sacred no is a return to you. Your no gives you the space where your life, where your soul can breathe again, where your own needs, ideas, and desires arise and thrive. But you've got to create that space. You've got to create that space. So let's do it. Let's do an actual embodied practice in order to get to your sacred no, even just a baby no for today, even the tiniest of no's. Um, and I want to talk a moment about embodiment and why embodiment is so important because women, feminine women, are embodied. This is how we feel and experience the world. The masculine lives in the mind and logic and reason. The feminine lives in the soul, in the feeling and really sensual, and I mean that like in a sense, sensual experience. So women will feel their yes and no before they'll think yes and no. And for all of you overthinkers out there, I see you. That is a cultural indoctrination that thinking is better than feeling. And it throws us off. It puts us into a distorted masculine energy. Okay, so the overthinking is deeply anxiety producing. I know that. I'm intimately familiar with that. I get it. Like I said, I see you. So if you're overthinking as a feminine woman, you know you're in a distorted masculine pattern that isn't serving you and it's denying the felt sense of what is right and true and good for you because you will always feel that in your body first. You more than anyone else, the feminine woman specifically. Okay. So we have to get embodied. Well, I won't say get embodied. You already are embodied. You may have been ignoring it for a while, shoving it under the rug, pretending like it's not important, hoping that it doesn't exist, but it does. So we're going to do an embodiment practice where you feel the sacred no, because that's how, again, you're going to start thriving and existing here um, in your space, in your body. And to be disembodied is to I've got a comment in the chat here that says I also overpay. Yeah, look, girl. We are paying in all of the ways that women can pay these days. It is amazing. When I speak to my coaching clients, more and more I'm finding not that the financial abuse or dependency is happening that they're dependent on their masculine partner anymore. It's starting to shift that the masculine partner is dependent on us now. Women started having the ability to own and control and make money right about the 70s or 80s is when that started to take off. Women were allowed finally to have their own bank account without a male cosigner in 1974. We started getting into the workforce. We started wearing the power suits and the shoulder pads, which I love, by the way. Um, and the toxic and distorted masculine patriarchal narrative said, oh, you guys can make money too? Great. We're just going to let you do that. Look, I want everybody to make money. I want you to make money. I want us to make all the money. But when it comes with a hitch, when it comes with dependency, when it comes with more of you paying too much, giving yourself away, that's one of those false yeses. Okay, so let's get into our embodiment practice. I just wanted to respond quickly to that chat. I loved saying that. Yeah, and in the chat I'm seeing it's hard to say no if you know it will hurt someone. Well, someone's always going to be hurt. Sometimes it's you, sometimes it's them. And if you continuously say yes when your body means no, ultimately you are being hurt and you are not less valuable than they are. There's something divine about partnership where the yes arises together. If that can happen, that's probably your best bet, especially when you're talking about some kind of relationship between two people. All right. So wherever you are, and thanks for letting me give you some good background on femininity, the power of no, all that good stuff. So wherever you are, unless you're driving, okay, go ahead and just find a good, comfortable place to be. Comfortable seat. You can relax and sit back if you want to. Bucket, you can even lay down if you want to. Whatever is going to give you an opportunity to really feel into your body. And you know, this isn't a complex practice. It's simple, but it just requires you to touch base and check in. So close your eyes if you can. And as you close your eyes, breathe. Just notice the breath and place one hand over your heart so that you can feel the rise and fall of your chest. And then place another hand over your lower belly, your womb, the true seat of your feminine power, your feminine energy. Placing your hands on your body in this way is a way to connect to this sense of embodiment. It's a way to bring yourself back home to your body. It's simple, it's easy. And as you breathe and feel, take a moment, let your mind get quiet, and ask yourself where in your life right now are you saying yes, but meaning no? Where in your life are you saying yes, but meaning no? Now feel what comes up for you as the answers arise. Not the story, but rather the sensations. Do you feel a tightness? Does your throat close? Do you feel a heaviness? Do you feel a pressure anywhere? Anger, resentment? So feel that. And whatever it is that you're feeling, it's just going to be some form of bad. Even if you don't have a name for it, it's going to be some form of bad. Something that doesn't serve you, something that creates more tension, plays into that anxiety. We don't need that anymore. Now, let's shift this. And what if, we can just pretend for now, what if in this place that you are issuing yes, but really meaning no, what if you simply said no? What if you issued the no? Now, don't extrapolate and overthink into how they will take it. What does it feel like in the body to say no? If you just issued the no, do you feel lighter? Do you feel more easeful? Don't worry about them. Just notice how you feel. If you were to just lay down the weight of that inauthentic yes, if you were to stop abandoning yourself and issue that no, what would you feel? And maybe even move your hands to the part of the body that feels it most. Do you feel an expansion in the heart? Do you feel a tingling in the belly? These physical sensations are how you know that you're on the right track. So I want you to be brave today. Bravery is a human quality. Everybody has it. And in this place, issue your no. Start to construct that boundaried receptivity of your feminine sovereignty. Speak that sacred no. You can say it aloud or you can say it internally. No more. I choose myself here. I choose myself here. Breathe into that. And with this sacred no issued, ask yourself what becomes possible now that you've reclaimed that energy. Because that's what happens. You get your energy back. You get yourself back. It's not a rejection of others. It's a return to your own truth. Nothing short of a miracle. When you're ready, say a thank you to your body, your feelings, your femininity. And when you're ready, open your eyes again. That's all it is, ladies. It's easy because it's already inbuilt within you. We've just been ignoring it and denying it for too long. We've issued far too many false yeses and abandoned ourselves as a result. Remember, burnout is simply a symptom of giving your truth away, and you get to reclaim it with the no that comes from within you. And you know that no, you know the feeling of it. What you've just felt in this simple practice, whatever it was, a pressure, a tightening, every time you feel that, that's your no. And every time you don't honor that or live that out, you're not creating this boundaried receptivity. Imagine it as a bowl. Every time you issue a false yes, it pokes a hole in the bowl, and the bowl cannot contain your sovereignty, your success, your abundance, your support, your dynamism, your creativity. You've got to keep that bowl really sacred and boundaried in order for you to receive everything that is yours in this life. When you give yourself away, you're doing yourself a disservice as well as the world that needs all of the gifts that you have to offer. No is the beginning of your wholeness and your reclamation to you. That's how you call your energy back. And that's how you start to thrive. Whew. And look, ladies, I am here for the thrive. I am here for the thrive, not just the survive. I want you to really experience a life that is rooted in satisfaction. And that's why I called the membership community Rooted. I want us to start there and rise from there. That's why I wrote the book, The Way of the Satisfied Woman. That's why I have this movement. And it is a movement. And I need you. I need you to participate. I need you to be a boundaried feminine woman that holds on to that receptivity and claims your power. I mean it because when you do it, you give permission to all of the other women standing beside you and coming after you to do it too. I'm serious about this. So join me. There is a link for you to join and get something a little special inside the membership. It's an incredible space filled with incredible women just like you who are here to express themselves fully. I've got a comment that says, I agree so much with what you were saying. Lots of experience. We all have lots of experience, girl. And boy, oh boy, I want us to experience something different. So join me for Rooted. I'll see you on the inside, and I will see you for the next live Rooted radio broadcast where I invite conversation. We talk about everything that's going on with us as women, and we follow up that conversation on the inside of the membership. Thank you for being here. You know where to find me at thesatisfiedwoman.com, and I will see you all